Cowboy Logic, Season 3, Episode 2, An Anchor Doesn't Have to Move. Mama never drove a car a day in her life. Not once. Not even around the block or around the holler. And I never once heard her complain about it. I'm Ann Dunbar, and this is Cowboy Logic. Today, I want to tell you about a Buick, a cigarette lighter, and the woman who was my anchor. Where I come from, you learn early that strength doesn't always look the way you expect. It's not always loud, it's not always mobile, and it doesn't always have a driver's license. Sometimes the strongest person in your life is the one who never goes anywhere because she doesn't need to. She's already exactly where she needs to be. When I was a teenager, I had worked and saved all my own money just so I could buy myself a car. The car was an old Buick, and it was nothing fancy, except to me. It was the most magnificent thing I'd ever owned. You want to know why? It had a working heater and air conditioning, both of them at the same time. And where I come from, now that's a luxury. The first thing I wanted to do was to take my mama for a drive. So we got in, just the two of us, and I drove her around, showing off every single feature that car had to offer. You know, she was taking it all in, touching things, looking at things, the way you do when something is new and you want to understand it. Then she found the automatic cigarette lighter. She pulled it out, looked at it. I told her what it was. It was a lighter, and she nodded like that made perfect sense. And then I watched as she very deliberately reached out with one finger and put it on the red part of the automatic lighter. Now, we had cars before, and they all had lighters, but they never worked. So when she did this, I looked at her in pure shock. My mouth was hanging wide open, and I was shocked. She looked back at me with the exact same expression, like I was the one who'd done something surprising. Then her hand shot back like it was on fire, which I'm sure it was painful. And I tried not to laugh. Lord knows I tried. But there are moments in life where something hits your funny bone so perfectly that the laugh just escapes whether you want it to or not. And this was one of those moments. She looked at me all grouchy, the way only a mama can. That look that says, I see you laughing and I do not appreciate it. And then a smile breaks out across her face. And I look at her and I ask, why did you do that? And she said, I just wanted to see if it was hot. And then she starts giggling, and which causes me to start giggling with her. This continues, and then we move right along like nothing had happened. That was my mama. Now, my mama never drove a car, never had a license, and never needed one. And yet somehow, every important moment of my life, she was there. Every scraped knee, every heartbreak, every victory I wasn't sure I deserved. Every time I needed someone to tell me I was going to be okay, she was there. Because she drove herself there, and not because she had freedom of movement or independence or all the things we think we need before we can show up for the people we love. She was there because she was my anchor, and an anchor doesn't move. That's the whole point of an anchor. To hold you steady right where you are, so you don't drift away when the current gets strong. She never needed to go anywhere. She was already everywhere that mattered. Thinking about that a lot lately. How we put off being what people need us to be. How we tell ourselves, when I have more time, or when things settle down, or when I'm in a better place, then I'll show up. Then I'll be the person they need. My mama never waited for better conditions. She didn't have a car and she didn't have money and she didn't have an easy life. She had a house full of love and a finger she stuck in a cigarette lighter just to see what would happen. And she was the greatest anchor I've ever known. She didn't wait until she had everything to give everything. And neither should you, whatever you're carrying right now. The exhaustion, the doubt, the feeling that you don't have enough to offer. I want you to hear this. You are already enough to be someone's whole world. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to be anything other than what you already are. You just have to show up with what you've got the way she did every single day. From whatever front porch, kitchen table, or passenger seat she happened to be in. Today's Cowboy Logic is this. Some people are your whole world without ever needing to be anywhere else. Think about who yours is. And if they're still here, call them. And to all the mothers, grandmothers, and anchors out there, happy Mother's Day. I'm Ann Dunbar. Thanks for riding along, and I'll see you next week.